Welcome back to Snakes and Adders Reptile Advice. Recently we've been doing some confirmation point checks on different groups of animals, and today it's the turn of the ground geckos. These are most commonly going to be encountered as leopard geckos, Eublepharis macularius, and the African fat-tailed gecko, which is Hemitheconyx cordicinctus. The confirmation points would be very similar for these, and it's important that we work our way through them. People that are looking to buy a new pet, we want to make sure that an animal is in perfect health and we're doing okay. So we'll start at the front and start with the face. We want to make sure that the eyes are clear and bright. In the case of both the Hemitheconyx and the Eublepharis, they've got eyelids, and when they shed their skin, that skin can stick underneath the eyelid, so sometimes these can become stuck and shut or inflamed, and when they get a bit of crap in there, so we want to make sure that the eyes are nice and clear. What we're also going to check while we're there is the lovely wafer thin skin that they've got when they shed can stick around the nose and nostrils and block up the nostrils, so we want to make sure that that's clear as well. We want to make sure that there's no excess skin build up inside any of these ears. Make sure that we're nice and clear. They're lovely and clear here. One of the most common ailments for leopard geckos is metabolic bone disease, which is soft bones, and this is going to be most easily seen in the jaw. And we just want to touch the nose and tap the nose and tap the lower mandible, and we want to make sure that there's no give or flex. If there is, you do not want that gecko. Do not buy it. We want to make sure that the bones are lovely and hard and that there's no movement in the jawline. The mouth lines up properly, it's not undershot or overshot. Also, with the metabolic bone disease, we're going to check the limbs, so we want to check the arms and the legs. We want to make sure that the forelimbs are nice and straight, they're not swollen, they're not bent in any way. When the animal walks, it walks proud. The joints aren't slopping in the socket, showing that maybe that the shoulders are underdeveloped. We want to make sure that the animal's carrying adequate body weight. With a leopard gecko and the fat-tailed geckos, they're going to carry that in the tail itself. So we want to make sure that the tail at its thickest point is thicker than the point where it leaves the body. What we're going to make sure of is that it's the original tail as well. The tail can auto-amputate at any one of these rings down the tail, and there's like a star-shaped assembly inside that links into the next section of tail. When the animals regrow their tail, it grows back as a turnip, and whilst it does regrow, it never quite looks as nice as the original. We're also, when we're checking the limbs, we're going to check the toes, and we're going to make sure that we've still got the claws on all of our feet, that the shed skin's not been allowed to build up. This is a real problem point when it comes to shedding skin. People, because they're from Afghanistan and Pakistan, keep their geckos bone dry, and they don't provide a damp hide, and the damp hide is all important for making sure that the skin comes off properly and doesn't start to gather around the toes. After too many skins build up, this arrests blood flow, and then it will eventually amputate the end of the toes, and your gecko will walk around like this. We're also going to make sure, just in general skin condition, we're in good nick. There's no evidence of any bites or any marks or any rough and tumble. They are active breeders during breeding season, so if it was a grown-on animal like this male, we want to make sure that he's not been in the wars when he's been kept with other animals. What we're also going to do is just look at his belly. He might wriggle slightly. We want to make sure he's okay. Make sure that by the vent is nice and clean, that there's no complications. Also, during breeding season, it's quite common for the males to develop impacted hempenal bulges, and sometimes you can get a little bit of discharge. So you want to make sure that they're nice and clean. Make sure that the paws, the V in front of the bum, which is how we make sure that this is a boy or a girl, they're not impacted paws as well, and that there's no staining to suggest there could be any gut or belly problems with what the animal's been feeding on. So really, this guy passes all the tests. If there's any play in the bones whatsoever, or you have even the most nigglingest of doubts regarding bone strength or bone density, do not buy the gecko. If the animal has got a mass of built up skin around its toes, tail and nose, do not buy the gecko. The thing is, you potentially could be inheriting a headache, so we want to make sure that you're going to go through these confirmation points prior to purchase. We do it here at Snakes and Adders when we take animals in, and me and Paul have worked hard to develop the contacts we have to make sure that the geckos we get are of the highest quality, so that we haven't got any of these issues, but we still have to go through these confirmation points as well. Obviously, we want to make sure that people, if they're buying them elsewhere, are also doing their checks. This is important. It's not stuff just to skip over. We'll be back again soon with another video. I hope this was of use. From me and Paul at Snakes and Adders, peace.